Good afternoon, and welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View. Clear my throat and get on with it. I never changed that way. I need to change this and this. Um, I've just totally cocked that up, haven't I? Totally just cocked that up. There we go. Clean that, and we'll clean that. I'll put in the headline that everyone's talking about. Really, Martin O'Neill dismissed the ex Sheffield Wednesday manager's comments, saying that he's not been in Glasgow long, isn't he? And he wants to try and pick the teams. Martin O'Neill found it absolutely extraordinary that Rowan Sausage would comment on anything to do with Celtic. He then said that Danny's not been in Glasgow long, has he? Doesn't really know the script about the decorum or how to be a class manager. But like they say, it'll all come out in the wash, and you do your talking on the pitch. And Martin O'Neill will make sure that his players do the talking on the pitch. And has Danny ever managed against a top German team? Has he? I don't think Danny has he? Even Martin O'Neill says that. He needs to try and play in some of these big games. You know, how good were Rangers in the Europa this year, Daniel? We should start calling Daniel by his proper name. Daniel Roll. Anyway, oh man, honestly, you can't make it up. You cannot make it up. Martin O'Neill did say it was absolutely extraordinary. Typical Martin O'Neill style, but we will show, just for benefit of the doubt, because there will be some Rangers fans who'll come onto the channel to see what's happening. You've only won 2 of your last 5 games, lads. Just saying. You only won 2 in your last 5 games. And we've got a game in hand. Don't know. But anyway, we'll leave the league table like that because we all know. And then maybe we should give them a reminder. Let's just see, get the league table up. Because if he really wants to, if he really, if that's the way that the Rangers fans want to go, we'll give them a nice little reminder that they finished 32nd place in the Europa with Danny as manager. Anyway, 32nd. And they won one game towards the end of the campaign. But they got battered everywhere they went. Winning in Germany is not for everybody, is it, Danny? But anyway, we get over that. It is the Glasgow Derby this weekend. And you've got to say, the media do love ramping these games up, aren't they? But Martin O'Neill's that long in the tooth that Martin's been in and around Celtic for a long time. And the fact that Martin O'Neill said the occasion is still a special fixture. He doesn't think that it's a must win, like some people are saying. Well, everyone else is saying it's a must win. He acknowledges that it's a special fixture. He mentions how even down south it's talked about, the fixture. He's looking forward to the full away day fan experience. You've got to remember that Rangers shat it and reduced the allocation. Do you know, Danny doesn't know about these things though, does he? The manager, Daniel Rowe, doesn't know that their fans were fed up with Celtic winning, and that's the real reason that they reduced the allocation. So people in glass houses, and like we say, you can't go on a winning streak forever. And maybe it's about time that your winning streak came to an end within this game. But Martin O'Neill did look forward, and he said, I'm looking forward to the full allocation. I believe we've got that in the cup game. because they have to give it. And the meltdown, Danny, you need to go and listen to your own fans, because the meltdown from your own fans with the fact that you've had to give Celtic. Oh, and there's a little caveat as well. You're having to pay Celtic, Daniel, £1 million to have 7,000 Celtic fans at Ibrox. You can't beat a Glasgow Derby wind-up weekend, eh? Evening. But anyway, we get on to it. Martin Neal acknowledged the game and the mind games from the young Daniel Rowe. The young Daniel Rowe has he said, look, we won the game. Maybe Danny needs to try and be in these big games. You know, you're playing against good teams. But anyway, spoke about Luke McCown's confidence. Martin O'Neill says, I've no idea what Luke McCown said. I said, to be honest, we finished the game last night. We went back to the hotel and then we flew back today. We're just off the plane, actually. We just came from the airport straight to here to do the interviews. So Celtic would have had a warm down training session in Germany. And that is Martin O'Neill style. For far too long, Brendan Rodgers and co allowed the hierarchy at Celtic to get the cheap flight back for Celtic in the middle of the night. And Martin O'Neill, when he was here the first time, Martin O'Neill had to get that cheap flight back in the middle of the night, and it was very unsatisfactory. There's no need for it, really. Surely we could push the boat out and stay an extra night in the hotel after the game, and relax and get the players a little training session in Germany, and then we all fly home at a reasonable time of day. Good on Martin O'Neill for standing his ground with the board with that one. Anyway, he went on and said that he'd never listened to Luke McCown. Luke McCown said that listen, when Celtic are on form and we are playing at the top of our game, there is no one in Scotland can touch us. And is Luke McCown right about that sentiment, that statement? Yes, he's damn right. Don't know. Martin O'Neill said he's entitled to his opinion. Simple as that. Danny Rowe wants to have an opinion. It was all very much about Celtic. It seems, I've not watched the Rangers interview, but it seems very concerned, doesn't it? It seemed to be all about Celtic, all about the goalkeeper situation, all about the who's going to play, trying a little bit of mind games from the young pretender. But we know that Daniel was just in the door at Ibrox and he's got to play to the crowd. So I'm sure Daniel over at Ibrox will know that. I wonder how he'll survive when Celtic beat them twice in a week. Anyway, he rejects the idea that Celtic have lost confidence, Martin O'Neill, and the game last night proved that. We've lost 2 games, and Martin O'Neill went on to reiterate. Martin said, look, he said, we won the league about 20 odd years ago. and we won the league comfortably. If you remember, it was over OBE, over by Easter, that year under Martin O'Neill. And Martin O'Neill says, we went into the summer and a very strange thing happened. We had 2 pre-season games. No games of any importance. We're trying out different things. And we lost 2 pre-season games. And the headlines in Scotland were Celtic are in crisis that year under. And he said, it was a pre-season game. You try out different things in pre-season game. And, it's he knew that the room was full of supporters of a certain club that were in the media. We know this, and Martin O'Neill knows that this is exactly why the type of questions were being asked in the way that they are. It was to try and, it's the same. They were asking questions that they post on their social media platforms to try and get a little bit of an angry response. And you're certainly not going to get an angry response from Martin O'Neill. He's far too long in the tooth for that one. And yeah, it was very interesting. But getting back to the Martin O'Neill interview, he rejects the fact that Celtic have lost confidence, having lost a game in the league and a game in Europe. He said that the idea that we have lost confidence when we've won, I think it's at 31 out of 36 points since Martin O'Neill's been back. That's not a team that's lacking confidence, is it? Especially when you look at the league table, and the league table doesn't lie. You know, they are a game in front due to the fact that they've played a game more. You're not disputing that. They have played one game more than us. But they've only won 2 games out of their last 5. That's not exactly brimming with confidence stuff. Maybe it's Rangers that are really having. Oh, I said their name. Damn. Maybe it's the Sevco, the Rangers, the new co, that team that died in 2020 and resurrected itself. A bit like because Easter's coming up. Maybe they think that this is them coming back once again. But when you look at the league table, they've only won twice in the last 5 games. Big issues being made out of Celtic losing 1 game. David Castles, I've just seen your comment. That is, yeah, exactly. You don't see many media reporters saying to a Hun manager, Celtic are freaking brilliant. You're going to shit yourself for wearing that designed trousers and his brogue shoes. 2012, sorry, yes, 2012. See, that's mine's getting on a bit. It's a bit like Martin, yeah. When they died in 2012. It was that long ago that I forgot the exact date, but we all remember they died. Anyway, we do move on from it regardless. Throat's a bit froggy tonight. I wonder why. Oh, that's right. We won away in Europe last night. So you've got to excuse the throat, Rangers fans, because I know you'll be listening into this one. And the throat's a bit done in because we won in Europe. But fair enough, we didn't get through, but at least we didn't finish 32nd in the league. Anyway, we move on. Martin O'Neill admits that Celtic are running out of games, are the Rangers. Hibs' defeat was a setback, but it was not fatal in the title race. He emphasises that Celtic are still in there fighting. And when you look at the players that are being out and are out for Celtic, you've got to say that we've been just getting it over the line. Will this be the game? And you've got to say, we played absolutely phenomenal in stages last night. Absolutely phenomenal. Now, they will look back and they will say, it's pretty much the same team that Wilfred Nancy had. This will not be a Wilfred Nancy scoreline. It may be for yous. Maybe we will get that 3-1 result at Ibrox. I can remember one time that we got a fantastic result at Ibrox, and Lenny was getting absolute stick for the majority of the game. And Neil Lennon was taken off by Martin O'Neill as manager then to the hurrahs and boos and you scummy Fenian being cried out and no surrender and up to their knees in Fenian blood being sang by the masses at Ibrox. But Martin O'Neill at the end of the game grabbed Neil Lennon and got his arm round his shoulder and walked him up to the Celtic fans defiantly to prove a point. Martin O'Neill, who turns 74 on Sunday, doesn't celebrate his birthday, hasn't celebrated his birthday since he was 49. I totally get that one, Martin. I don't think, well, I do. I take a week off. Me and my brothers, me and my brother, we always do it. We take a week off at our birthday. It's like, fuck that, man. Some people take a day off. I'm like that the whole week. It's like, nah, I'm doing nothing. He says that he doesn't celebrate birthdays anymore. He says nerves. He says he's always got nerves. He's got nerves going into every single game. This game's no different for Martin O'Neill. He was asked to describe the morning of a Glasgow derby. And he says it could be tense, but every game's it's tense. You know, for me, there was a vintage Martin O'Neill interview, like it was a vintage Martin O'Neill performance by the team in the first 15 minutes of the game last night. The first 2 minutes of the game, it was like turning the clock back. But anyway. Anyway, how exciting is it to make your return to Ibrox for another derby? He was asked. You don't need to get up for a game like that. You know, it's a derby game. It's like any other game, really. Says, but they have their little bit of oomph in it. There was a bit of an excitement from Martin O'Neill, but I think that the big interview of the day for me was Sebastian Tenecti. That was the big interview from Celtic for me. Sebastian Tenetti sat in the media and he almost couldn't stop laughing. He almost couldn't stop laughing at the beginning of the interview, having just flown home from Germany, still loving the fact that they got that fantastic result. And he was also asked about the game and such like and the result. And he repeated, when we play our football, not many teams can beat us. Fact. When Celtic turn up, and the problem is that Celtic have not turned up at times this season. Last night was the game where they turned up and they got the job done. I fully expect Celtic to turn up and get the job done at Ibrox. Martin O'Neill, years ago, played the old Rangers. They played the old Rangers 2 weeks in a row and would beat them 2 weeks in a row. Martin O'Neill knows what it takes, and Martin O'Neill will get the job done. And young Daniel Rowe, well, Martin O'Neill said, let's see if young Daniel's still here in 4 or 5 years. Go on, old geezer. Daniel Rowe's just been slapped down by a 74-year-old. Booyaka! Absolutely fantastic. Anyway, getting back to the big interview for me, because it was from Sebastian Tenetti. He said, look, when we play our football, not many teams can beat us. It's not arrogance. It's a belief. It's a belief that Celtic have had over the last 15 years at Celtic. We respect the other team. We know it's going to be a fight. But if we show up and play, we win. Simple. That's the mentality of the no fear mentality going into the game at Ibrox. He said, look, yes, we acknowledge that they're a strong team. There's no talk about pressure on us because there's no excuses from Celtic. We don't make excuses. But anyway, there's going to be two teams that are going to go for it this weekend. And I've got to say that I didn't watch his interview. The drunks in the house. Anyway, the revenge factor. Sebastian Tenetti says, look, you don't like to see that lot celebrating in your stadium. There's an emotion that follows with it. We've been in that stadium across the road, and cheers, mate. It wasn't my mother, but it's fine. Yeah, it's all fine. When you see, we've been there with 700 fans and celebrated a win. We've been there with 700 fans and we've watched Ibrox empty with 5 minutes to go because Celtic are winning. We haven't gone away. We've just not been playing great. And I tell you one thing, what a time for the team to start clicking and come together. It shows a bit of maturity, that game yesterday. It showed a lot of maturity from a lot of players. It showed a lot of maturity in the Sebastian Tenetti interview. There was no crazy emotions, there was no revenge mode talk. There was controlled aggression that if we do what we can do, we will win. As simple as that. Talking about the game, he was asked about obviously the size of it and the talk about foreign players and how they see it, and he says that he thinks it's maybe one of the biggest games in the world. His first derby experience was the Hampden semi-final. He says there's going to be a lot of intensity in the game, not just a fight. He reckons that the game will be fast-paced. There'll be a physical battle. Of course there'll be a physical battle. There'll be an unbelievable physical battle. And we know that they'll get many decisions that you're thinking, Jesus, God, is the ref really even watching the same game? It'll not be blue cards that'll be going out. It'll be blue tinted specs that are given out to the referees and linesmen, VAR. In fact, they don't need them because they're already lodge members, aren't they? But anyway, ah, Jesus. I'm just reading some of the comments. That goalkeeper last night was classy. Very proud of him. Definitely to play against the Rangers. Martin O'Neill has to beat a zombie. I have faith 3-1. We've got to put in a performance away from home in the league. We've yet to put in a performance away from home in the league. Sunday is the day that changes. The big house has fallen down. I noticed that another one of their directors has disappeared as well, but they don't talk about that, do they? Talking about the fitness of the squad and the mental edge. Does the game last night, the players are walking on fresh air just now after that result last night. Don't know, and I think that every single player within the squad has will walk into training tomorrow laser focused and still full of adrenaline. I mean, they'll all be full of adrenaline today, this morning, when they had that little training session. And if they had a training session, they might have just had a nice, relaxing morning in the hotel. But if I know Martin, he probably had them on the training pitch just for a little warm down. But anyway, it's been a long season, and it's been a long season for Sebastian Tenecti, that started away last season in Norway. You know, he's not had a proper break. A lot of people spoke about the Japanese players when they came to Scotland, and they said when they came to Scotland they were coming towards the end of their season, and people spoke about the fact that they were running out of gas and stuff. Tenecti is one player that I think is actually getting better towards the end of this season. You know, he's match fit. He needs to get a bit more rhythm. He needs to be a bit more understanding between some players. You know, but anyway, I think that it was a cracking interview by the young lad, and Celtic play their football on Sunday. If we control the midfield, if we don't get dragged into the dogfight, and that's what they will do. They will try and drag us into a dogfight that's a scrappy game that's not good, not play football, bad tackles, pushing, shoving, you know, all sorts to try and get us to bite. That's the way that Rangers play. They don't play decent football. Celtic do. And when we turn it on, we'll beat them. It's as simple as that. It's the confidence that we have. And anyway, if we can go away to Germany, when every single one of them were on social media proclaiming the fact that Celtic were about to be battered in Germany. Oh, Daniel Rowe, you need to go and tell your fans that they were so wrong and they all went hiding under their bed sheets after the game last night because Celtic didn't only win, but anyway, that's enough about them. Let me just jump into some of the comment section for the last 5 or 10 minutes of the video. I always knew it would be a quiet one tonight because it was unscheduled, and I never usually do one on Friday, but and it is that weekend, isn't it? And it's a big one. Not only if we win this weekend will it mean that we've beaten them on their own patch, which we've done before many times, but it'll take us above them in the league with a game in hand. I think the big one to watch at the weekend will obviously be the Hearts game to see how they get on. They'll more than likely scrape through with a 1-0 win. And a win for Celtic is absolutely fantastic. It gets us above Rangers with a game in hand, and it puts us right in the position for to put an attack onto Hearts with the final stages of the league season. They have only got 10 games to go. Celtic have 11. That game in hand is coming up soon. Let's just get this one over the line first of all, and then take it from there. O'Neill keeps getting a last chance, but the next game is one of his biggest. I think the boys will come up trumps and win the title. He's going fabulous into the hoops shirt. The game last night was a great show of why having a strong squad at a crunch time of all competitions can bring results. I think the damage, we all know that the damage was done in the first game. You know, and for the Sevco manager to the Rangers, the new formed club in 2012, when you've got them trying to say, well, why didn't you go on and try and win the tie? What he really means is, why didn't you get your players to overexert themselves and get injured and you know, and put everything in to try and win in that? Danny, you need to just keep a an eye on your own team. Let's just say that. Tonight, his defensive work is non-existent. Oh, we definitely need to be Aberdeen. It is a must. It is a must. Um, I'm just trying to see. I like the positive vibes. Keep it up, and we'll keep the faith. Beat Rangers, then the Sheep. We're going to the cup tie even stronger, showing character. And that's what it takes for a club to be championship champions and win the championship, isn't it? It is true, that one. Anyway, right, that is me done and dusted for a Friday night. My throat is still a little bit hoarse from last night, having um, had a fantastic evening of European football. Something that's not for every club in Scotland. Anyway, on that note, have an absolutely extraordinary evening, Celtic fans, wherever you are, all around the world.